Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, all. Thank you very much for joining us today. This webinar will be presented by myself, Meera Raja, and my colleague, Toby Thorne. The purpose of this webinar is to quickly recap what MTD, Making Tax Digital, is and who is going to affect, as well as inform you of any other further developments. We have posted a poll question at the bottom. Would appreciate it if you can answer that, and we'll post the same question at the end of it to make sure that we've done a good job of it. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to do that. Thank you. Okay, there is still 20% of you have answered don't know. Hopefully you'll have a better clarity at the end of this. What is MTD? Making Tax Digital is an HMRC initiative designed to make sure the UK tax system is effective, efficient, and easier for taxpayers through the implementation of the fully digitalized tax system by 2020. But having said that, other than VAT, we have not heard about the other taxes as yet. Again, we will keep you guys posted on that. Every time we get any information, that we will make sure that we'll release a newsletter or an article, so you will be well informed about it. Making tax digital for VAT requires VAT registered businesses with taxable turnover above VAT registration threshold of 85,000 to keep records in digital form and file their VAT return using compatible software. Purpose of this, supposedly, to cut errors and reduce the tax gap. Some dispute within the accountancy profession as to whether transposition errors or spreadsheet formula errors account for much for tax loss. The aim is to eliminate any manual rekeying data in the whole chain of transfers of information, including submission of the VAT return. What is taxable turnover? Taxable supplies are supplies made in the UK, which is not exempt for VAT. There are 3 VAT taxable rates, being standard rated, reduced rate, and zero rate, all of which are taxable turnover and count towards the registration threshold. Most of you will be aware of reverse charge purchases also count towards VAT registration threshold. So this is something to be aware of when looking at your taxable turnover. Just want to tell you a bit about that. Reverse charges, very briefly, it's services you receive from outside the UK, where you would calculate the VAT, and that goes into your sales box and also your purchase box. So that whatever you're putting under the sales box, that also counts towards the threshold. So you have to be you need to know when you do your calculation for taxable turnover, please take that into account. One other thing I would like to say is you could be making taxable supplies in the sense if you are a consultant and you are only providing your services to outside the UK. So whereas if you provide that service in the UK, that will be standard rated. But if you have a business where you are not providing any in the UK at all and only providing these services to anywhere outside the UK, and even if your threshold is, even if your turnover is over 85,000, you do not have to register for MTD. So that is, I just want you all to be clear on that. If anybody needs more clarity on it, please post a question or give us a call or contact us. We can go into it further. What if you are trading below 85,000? Businesses with taxable turnover less than 85,000 have a choice. Either continue to submit returns via the HMRC website, or you can voluntarily choose to submit using your softwares. The only thing with this is once you have submitted a VAT return via the MTD route, you are required to submit all future returns in this way unless you deregister from VAT or meet other exemption criteria. That is both if you are trading below the threshold and voluntarily choose to submit via MTD through Xero or Sage, for an example, or if you are trading above 85 and therefore required to submit via MTD, then drop below 85, you must still continue to comply with MTD. So that's, if you are going to voluntarily register, please do think about it, because you can't come out of it once you've done it once. It is expected that eventually all VAT registered business will have to submit your VAT return via MTD, but this was a way of phasing it in. So, you know, if you're someone who's looking to go into, say, for an example, you're doing manual records, so you want to think about going to using a software, maybe this is a good time to do that. So think about it, because eventually, you know, everybody will have to register for MTD. When is MTD for VAT taking effect? MTD for VAT is to be introduced by HMRC with effect from 1st of April 2019. The precise timing of the introduction is as follows. If you submit monthly VAT return, the April 19, 0419 period is the first MTD return. If you submit quarterly returns ending March-June period, then it's the first MTD return will be the June period. If you submit quarterly returns ending April, then July 19 period is the first MTD period. If you submit quarterly returns ending May, then your first period will be August 19. For an example, the beginning of the first VAT accounting period starting on or after the 1st of April. So it has to be a full quarter. So if you refer to the quarters that we have mentioned there about, then you can follow that. It'll be easy to follow that and then register accordingly. When is the MTD for VAT taking effect? If it's like there is a 6 months deferred time, which is, however, since our last time we did the webinar, HMRC have decided to defer the implementation of MTD for more complicated VAT registration by 6 months, so which has been deferred from April to October 2019. So these are a list of quite a few, and the following categories are, this will apply to around 40,000 businesses as per their stats, who fall into one of the following categories. That will be trust, not-for-profit organization that are not companies, and this includes some charities, VAT divisions, VAT groups. The deferral applies to the group registration only and not to any group of companies that are not covered by a group registration. So you can have a business group and have individual VAT registration, so it doesn't apply for them. It has to be a VAT group. Public sector entities that are required to provide additional information alongside their VAT return, such as government departments and NHS trusts. Local authorities and public corporations. Traders based overseas. When I say traders based overseas, these are non-establishment VAT registration. Those required to make payment on account, annual accounting scheme users. So these businesses will therefore be mandated to use MTD from October 2019. HMRC has sent individual letters to deferred business to advise them their implementation date has been deferred to 1st of October rather than 1st of April. If you haven't received a letter from HMRC, and you fall into any of these categories, please do contact them. If you need any help to contact them by us, then we are quite happy to help you, but please do that sooner than later. I'm going to hand you over to my colleague Toby Thurn now, so he will explain more about how we can explain this software, and we'll also take you through a flowchart.
Thanks, Mira. So, firstly, how is the information submitted to HMRC? The information is submitted to HMRC must always be via an API, which is an application programming interface. While HMRC expects most businesses to use API-enabled commercial software packages, like your Sages and your Xeros, both to keep digital records and file their VAT returns, there will be some businesses that won't be using these packages, and there are some alternatives available. The first alternative being bridging software, and the other is API-enabled spreadsheets. Both are essentially digital tools that are used to connect to HMRC systems. They just do that in slightly different ways. For both of these to be compliant, there will need to be digital links between softwares or the various spreadsheets. So, however, there is something called a soft landing period. So this is where HMRC will allow a period of time for businesses to get those digital links in place between all parts of their functional compatible software. So this soft landing period will be for the first year of mandation. So for VAT periods starting on or after 1st of April 2019, you'll have until the first VAT return starting on or after the 1st of April 2020 to have these digital links in place. And then for those businesses that have been deferred 6 months to the 1st of October 2019, they will have until the 1st of October 2020 to have these digital links in place. So during this soft landing period, where a digital link has not been established between software programs, HMRC are going to accept the use of cut and paste as being a digital link for those periods. So what are digital links? A digital link is an electronic or digital transfer or exchange of data between software programs, products, applications. So once the data has been entered into the software used to keep and maintain your digital records, any further transfer, recapture, modification of that data must be done using these digital links. So each piece of software must be digitally linked to other pieces of software to create a digital journey. A digital link includes linked cells in spreadsheets. So if you have a formula in one that mirrors the source's value in another, then those cells are linked. But cut and paste is not a digital link. So these are the digital links that HMRC are referring to that will need to be in place following that soft landing period. But for the first year, so for those businesses that are mandated from the 1st of April 2019, they will have until April 2020 to get these digital links in place, and those that have been deferred 6 months will have until October 2020 to get these digital links in place. So the only digital link that is required from the 1st of April or the 1st of October 2019 is that that physically submits the 9 boxes to HMRC. That has to be a digital link, whereas the other links between other software packages isn't going to be necessary until April 2020 or October 2020. So, what do you need to do? Firstly, you need to establish whether you've got taxable turnover exceeding £85,000, and then you need to think about 1, how you're currently maintaining your records, and 2, how you're filing your VAT returns to HMRC. We have created this flowchart to help our clients establish whether MTD is applicable to them and what steps they need to take to be compliant. So I'll just give you a few seconds to have a look at that. So, once you've established then how you're maintaining your records, so one option is that you're maintaining manual records. So if you're currently maintaining manual records and are within scope of the MTD, you will no longer be able to keep records this way. Your records will need to be kept digitally. This can either be in a spreadsheet or using a commercial software. Records that are not specified by HMRC or that are not required to complete your VAT return do not need to be kept in this functional compatible software. Just to note that some records do need to be kept in their original form, an example being C79 import certificate. These still need to be kept in hard copy. Another possible option is that you're currently using spreadsheets to maintain your records. So as I just mentioned, one solution is to keep your records in spreadsheets. Businesses can continue to do that and maintain and prepare their VAT returns on spreadsheets, that's fine. But you will need to use or acquire a suitable compatible software to be able to submit your VAT returns via MTD. Or alternatively, you could appoint an agent to submit your VAT returns on your behalf, and then it's up to them to have some compatible software to be able to submit your figures to HMRC via MTD. So compatible software being either bridging software or API-enabled spreadsheets that we mentioned earlier. This is a software program or set of software programs or applications that must be able to record and preserve your digital records, provide to HMRC information and returns using the API platform, and then receive information from HMRC via the API platform. There are software products available that will perform all these functions listed above, whereas some softwares will not. For example, a spreadsheet or other software product is capable of recording and preserving digital records, may not be able to perform the other two functions listed above, but can still be a component of functional compatible software used in conjunction with one or more programs to do these functions. The complete set of digital records to meet MTD requirements does not have to be held in one place or in one program. Digital records can be kept in a range of compatible digital formats. Taken together, these form your digital records. HMRC have produced a list of approved software providers, a number of which are these bridging software or API-enabled spreadsheets. So the third option is that you are using some sort of accounting software to maintain your records currently. All of the established software providers have amended their products to allow submission of the return direct from their software and obtain prior approval from HMRC that their product meets the MTD specifications. As previously mentioned, HMRC have published a list of these approved software providers, which has now grown to over 200, which is a huge increase from the 45 providers that were on the list when we did our previous webinar, but it was expected that number was going to increase. This means if you're using one of these softwares or due to MTD, you decide to move on to one of these softwares, so long as you submit your VAT return via the software and not via your online government gateway account, you will be compliant. HMRC have also published a list of softwares that are currently in development. I think this list today was at 64 providers, and you would assume with the view to being approved by HMRC before April. If you are currently using one of these software providers that's on this list, you may want to speak to your provider to see if they're going to be compliant in time, because if not, you may need to look at a bridging software solution to allow you to be compliant while they finish getting their software approved. If this is the case, then we have a bridging software solution available to us, and we may be able to help. So as with before in our previous webinar, there are still some potential issues with MTD. There is there being group VAT submissions, although these have been deferred 6 months now, so group VAT registrations got a little bit longer to to think about what they're going to do. Partial exemption calculations, TONS calculations, capital goods scheme, if you've got multiple business streams. Just on the group VAT consolidations, Xero and Sage have both released that they will be bringing out group VAT filers. So if you're using either of those softwares and have a group VAT registration, then that should allow you to be compliant as long as you're using the relevant version of Sage that allows access to the MTD module. If not, then that's something you'll have to discuss with Sage. For the partial exemptions and TONS adjustments, HMRC recognise that these such adjustments, the same with the capital goods scheme, will need to take place outside of your compatible software, and it's only the underlying adjustment that is required to be inputted into the compatible software, not the calculations themselves. And then from the list there, it's the most common one that I've had to deal with recently is clients that are on bespoke softwares that have either been built to them or they've been using for quite a long time, who may not even have the ability to run and file VAT returns in the software, or if they do, the provider's not going to be compliant with MTD. The majority of those clients are looking at bridging software solutions, at least in the first instance, to make sure that they're compliant come April or October, depending on whether they're a group VAT reg, for example. As the bridging software means that they're definitely going to be compliant especially throughout that soft landing period. This then also gives them 12 months to look at more permanent solutions, look at other potential compatible softwares, or look at tweaking how they might input that information into the software so that they can run the VAT return, make sure it's correct, and then they'll be able to use the bridging software going forward. But yeah, that one has come up quite a lot with our clients, and yeah, like I said, they're looking at most are looking at the bridging software as a solution in the first instance. So, how can we help? As I mentioned there, I mentioned Xero and Sage, but if you're using one of the other well-established accounting software providers, the switch to MTD is likely to be quite straightforward. On the other hand, you may consider that MTD is an opportunity to update your processes around the production and submission of your VAT return. So you may want to look at moving on to a software that suits you better, or suits your business better. If you currently maintain manual records or solely use your spreadsheets, then the introduction of MTD will affect you, and your current processes are going to require changes, which you should make as soon as possible. Really, April's just around the corner. So we can help ensure that you're compliant with MTD before it goes live, and we can recommend some software solutions to you that would be most suited to your business. So a couple of the solutions that we have available to us are, the first one is being Xero. So this is a cloud-based accountancy package which will allow you to maintain and submit VAT returns via MTD. As I mentioned before, it's compliant. There are various subscriptions of Xero available, depending on the size of your business and whether you need multi-currency. Will depend on the monthly subscription cost. We're a registered partner with Xero, so we receive a discount, which, if you get the subscription through us, we will pass on to you. The other solution is bridging software. So we have one of these available to us, which we'll be using in-house, but we can also subscribe onto our clients, and that's for a fixed fee per year. So if you want any further information on either of those, then please get in touch. Of those two solutions, Xero is our preferred solution and is more future-proof when looking at other taxes going digital in the future. Xero is likely to be compliant for all those taxes, so it would mean that everything is in one place. whereas the bridging software is more of a short-term solution, but it's going to be necessary for a large number of businesses, or for those businesses that wish to send spreadsheets, for example. So, like I said, if you'd like any more information on either of those, then please get in touch with Mira or myself.
We you can also the flow chart and the frequently asked questions are on our website, so you can have a look at them as well. If you go to our website, it's available to you. There is a question somebody has posted, whether you could continue to use current HMRC user ID, or if we will be issued with the new MTD code. I'm going to get Toby to answer that.
So HMRC haven't been terribly clear on whether that's going to be the case or not. But what I would suggest is signing up for the pilot. If you sign up for the pilot, we've had a number of clients that have done it now and have managed to gain access. You know that everything's going to be in place then. So if you sign up for the pilot, it'll mean that if you've got a compatible software or a solution in place already, that you'll be able to file your next VAT return via MTD, and you know that everything's in place then come April 2019.
We posted the question again. If you can take a couple of minutes to answer that, please. Okay, we still have about 8% of the people is still not sure whether you should register for making the tax digital or not. Please do get in touch with us, and then we can talk it through with you guys, or email us. We'll be more than happy to help us with. But please don't take this lightly, because it is like Toby mentioned, it's only around the corner. April is not too far away. So please do speak to us, and we are always quite happy to help you with that. Even after this, if you think of any questions, please do send it to us, and we'll be quite happy to answer them. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Hope to speak to you all soon.